Welcome to another episode of Inspire Career Spotlight on Careers, the video podcast series where I bring you best-in-class career-related information to keep you up to date and help you advance in your careers. And today I am here to dispel a terrible toxic lie that has made the rounds for many, many years in the career management space. And that is when people say, treat your job search like a full-time job. That is a toxic lie, and I'm here to break it down for you. So I don't know whoever started that, treat it like a full-time job. And listen, we know it's important. You don't have a job or you want to get a new job, even though you may currently have one, you have to put some effort in. No kidding. That's not what I'm talking about. But sentences like, you must treat it like a full-time job implies that you're not going to do what you need to do it. And it also had a little bit of element of control and shame in it. I don't like it. I don't treat my job seekers that way. And I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be doing it that way. If you treat it like a full-time job, think about the last full-time job that you had, or maybe the one that you currently have. How many hours a day do you work? 8, 9, 10? Even if you're doing 10-hour shifts, 4 days a week, that's a lot of work. Getting up immediately, sitting at the desk all day, answering the phone, applying online, which is mostly what people do when they're sitting at the desk looking to apply for jobs. Does that sound like a way to spend your 8 hours during the day? And does that sound like a productive way to do a job search? No, it does not. So I'm going to share some other strategies with you that are going to break that down. You do not need to treat it like a full-time job to land a fabulous job. And I'm going to tell you what you can do instead. Okay. And it's also going to make you feel good about yourself because it's going to create balance. It's going to create harmony in your life. And then you realize that you control your life and the job search does not control your life. So let's talk about that. First thing is you need a strategy. People that are working 8 hours a day on a job search, that does not sound like strategy to me. That sounds like gruel and grind, and that is not a strategy. So if that's what you're doing, it is time to take a step back and say, let me think about this. What are my goals? What am I trying to achieve? Do I have a timeline that I really want to get this new job, or am I just casually looking? What exactly am I looking for? So figuring out your strategy first is about gaining clarity in your search. What am I looking for? What's my timeline? Where do I want to do it? And writing down all of these things, being crystal clear even before you start your search. Because I'll tell you something else. If you're searching 8 hours a day for a job, that also tells me that you really don't know what you're looking for and that you're kind of all over the place. So gaining clarity right up front smooths the past later, and you don't have to work as hard. The old sentence about working smarter, not harder, that's what this is about. So develop your strategy up front. The first thing is developing that clarity. Once you've developed your clarity in terms of the type of job, where you want to do it, what you want to do, etc., and that can take a few weeks, honestly, depending on how deeply you really want to go with it and when is the last time you've ever thought about it. That could take a little bit longer. But once you do that, then develop the strategy for your search. Okay, what am I going to do? And you've probably heard this statistic, and it is 100% true. Most jobs are gotten through networking. 75 to 80% of jobs are gotten through networking, and that same amount of jobs aren't ever even posted. So if you're sitting down thinking that you are doing a good thing on a Monday morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock, sitting at the desk, saying, I'm going to be here, sitting here until 5 o'clock tonight, and I'm going to be applying for jobs, you're going to be spending a lot of time pressing that apply button for jobs that aren't even available, or you're not even catching the good jobs that are out there because they're not publicly posted. So network, what does that mean? Talking to people. Talking to people, that's all it is. Now, I'm going to a networking event today, later tonight. I'm headed out to go talk to some people. But that's part of my business development strategy. It's part of my professional strategy, and it's a great way to get out of the house and meet people. So it's personal too. It's all good stuff. But think about this. If 75 to 80% of jobs are gotten through networking, think about your network. Who haven't you spoke with? Who do you speak with all the time? If you're in a confidential job search, your circle of trust might be rather small, and you may not be talking to a lot of people publicly about your search. But if you are out of work, you've been downsized, you lost that job a few months ago, and you still have not landed anything yet, then tell everybody you know in your family, people in your network, online, on LinkedIn, friends that you have, tell everybody. And of course, you are already going to have that fabulous LinkedIn and resume updated so that you can share that information with people should they ask for it. That is all part of the strategy that we're talking about. You know you need those things for a job search anyway, but again, do them up front so it'll smooth the path for you down the road. So talk to people, start putting out good karma, do things for other people, really generate relationships and not just putting your hand out, and try to avoid the transactional kind of stuff so that people really get to know you and want to help you. So talk to your network, build that in. How many times a week do you have to talk to people? Maybe a little bit every day, but that doesn't mean you have to go to a networking event 3 times a week, not even weekly necessarily. That means reaching out on LinkedIn, setting up virtual coffees. How are you doing? How can I help you in your search? I'd like to catch up. Can we have 15 minutes together? And if you tell people exactly how much time you want from them or what you want from them, you are far more likely to get it. It's when you leave it open-ended and people have to guess how much you're going to suck the life out of them that they probably will not respond. So I'm going to tell you that too. Be crystal clear on what you want from people while you're networking, and you're far likely to get it. And of course, honor it. If you say, I need 15 minutes of your time, only take 15 minutes of their time. So that's a good suggestion there too. But think about what that means. So get your calendar out and think about, okay, so talking to people, maybe I'm going to spend an hour a day reaching out to people. For 75% of jobs are found that way, maybe it's worthy of 2 hours a day or 1 hour every day, depending on how you want to do that. But let's just say for the sake of this, we're going to do an hour and a half. Let's split the difference and say an hour and a half a day, I'm going to reach out to people. Maybe I'm going to pick up the phone and call. Maybe it's through LinkedIn. Maybe I'm going to spend time online looking for events near me in my industry, setting up a couple of those for the next 2 months. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And once you start talking to people, you get your script out a little bit better, your elevator pitch, you kind of know what you're looking for, know what you want to talk about, and it becomes more natural for you as well. And so you can cut that time down a little bit. But really the best strategies are when you have in-person networking, virtual networking, reaching out, doing for others. Don't be afraid to network in groups either, particularly a group of where you don't know anybody, because it's a whole new audience that you have no baggage with at all, no expectations with at all. Come in ready to help them, and they will help you. Job search support groups are great for that. And they could be virtual too. So don't hesitate to join those. Develop your calendar. We're talking about that. So maybe you put an hour and a half a day for networking, but you are going to apply for jobs online, right? So maybe build out 3 days a week or an hour a day that you're going to be applying for jobs. Or maybe on Monday of the week, you spend 3 hours on Monday really digging into the jobs, setting up your job alerts on LinkedIn, going back to check the ones that you previously had, following up on the applications that you submitted last week. So it's really just concentrated time. That little block of time on a Monday can help set you up for success the whole week long. So think about doing it that way, rather than the black hole we all go down is when you sit down in front of the computer, you start working, and before you know it, oh my gosh, it's 5 hours later, I haven't done anything. Set a timer. I call that the inspired hour of work, where you set a timer, egg timer, your phone, however you want to do that. And when that hour's up, you're done the task. So particularly, it's good if you're looking online for jobs, because that'll just take you down and you'll get lost completely with that. So that's a good one really to set that timer for. And even if you set it in 30-minute intervals where you're setting it and you're getting up and you're moving away from the desk for a while, you're stretching your legs, improving your circulation, taking a quick walk around the block, getting hydrated, go get something to drink. All of those are great things. Come back down, set it another 30 minutes. Beautiful, beautiful. Now you're keeping your energy level high, you're staying hydrated, you're keeping your mental faculties really top notch all the time. If you're working 8 hours a day, you may feel the need that you can't be walking away from the desk. I say you should be walking away from the desk. And if you have one of those desks that rise and fall, that go up and down, like a standing desk, even better. Figure out how you do that, and it keeps your blood flowing even better. But I want you to take time to walk away, get away from that screen, come back refreshed, and then get on to the next task. So get your strategies we talked about, get that pre-work done, and get your calendar. And if you're going to do that block time like on a Monday, then you can just set an hour or a half hour a day to go back and check the work that you've already done. Beautiful. So now you've got networking on there. You've got job applications, like online job applications. But what's the next thing that you can do? What else can you do for when you're finding a job, right? How about posting to create information online to give people insights into how you think, how you work, what you know? Again, this is another place that you can go way deep down in the black hole if you're saying, well, I don't know what kind of content to create. I don't like social media. If I had died for every time I heard that, I'd be a rich woman and I'd be partying with Oprah right now instead of on this podcast. However, I'm going to tell you that there is a time and a place for everything. And really, when you are searching for a job, and even when you're not, when you're fat and happy in your job and you're doing well, you should always be creating content. You always have something to say. Doesn't mean you have to have a podcast. Doesn't mean you have to spend 12 hours a day on it. But develop a content strategy that you can work periodically throughout the week. Maybe just Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Maybe Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, right? And if you're feeling particularly prolific, go ahead and do it 5 days a week, but not 7. You don't need 7. You need time off. You really, truly do. And what did I say when we started this? You do not need to treat this like a full-time job, but you do need the strategy. And having a content strategy, knowing what you're going to post, developing it, and executing on it consistently, that's beautiful. That is communicating with people all the time. It captures networking. It helps LinkedIn catch you in the algorithm. It lets other people see what you're interested in and what you're capable of. All these are good things. So maybe if on Monday you're following up on the job applications that you submitted the last week, maybe returning some calls, maybe Tuesday is your content development day. And maybe you spend, are you better in the morning or the afternoon? I'm a morning person, so maybe I'd spend the morning, maybe 2-3 hours in the morning, developing content for the entire week. Bam, and it's done. When I'm done, I get out away from my desk and I go do something else. Not dealing like a full-time job, but I have a strategy. I built the strategy. I've condensed my time in to do it. And there's even tools like Buffer and Hootsuite and plenty others out there that you can schedule your content. Maybe you do that once a week. Put it all into the program. Bam, you are done. And a lot of people do that on the weekends. Like if people already have full-time jobs, I know people say, I do it while I'm watching football or I do it while I'm watching my shows, whatever. You could do that too. But I really want you to have family time. I want you to have you time. I really do not want a job search to be a full-time job for you. So I want you to be able to at least take advantage of the downtime that you have right now to do the things that are important to you. And use the Monday through Friday to do this block time to get more bang for your time buck. This is what we're trying to do. If you're not sure how to create a content strategy, you can go to ChatGPT and Google it. Tell them what you do, tell them your industry, tell them what your goal is, and they can help you brainstorm. It can even help you with the content, but you do need to prompt it. You do need to know what you're doing. And the whole purpose of having a content strategy and sharing content is to show what you know. So I'm not recommending that you hand it off to ChatGPT. I'm simply saying that if you're not really sure how to set that up and you don't necessarily know what to talk about, it will give you some great ideas. So go ahead and do that. The next thing I want to tell you to do is track your time, track your activity, because sometimes people will say, well, I'm treating it like a full-time job, only to find out they're actually working 3 hours a day on the search and the other 5, they're doing nothing. Again, that black hole that we keep talking about. But if you keep a spreadsheet, however you want to do it, but a spreadsheet is super easy where you can track the amount of time that you're doing on these activities, you're holding yourself accountable, but you're also validating what you're doing. And you can say, look, I've done all of these things this week. Got my resume updated. Wow, that was a huge task. Excellent. Reached out to 3 recruiters, applied for 10 jobs, set up 2 networking events for the next 3 weeks. Wow, fantastic. I'm going to walk away from the desk now because I've really achieved something. And I think it's a greatly underestimated conversation about the mental and emotional drain of job search. Particularly if you are out of work and you're getting concerned about your finances, or you're in a toxic work situation and you know that you have to get out, you're desperate to get out. If you are a single parent and you are between jobs and you don't know where the next dollar's coming from, it can be really, really scary. And so the tendency is if we run faster, if we work harder, we will get faster results. And that doesn't always equate. That's not always good math. So I'm strongly suggesting developing a strategy, working your strategy, and doing it intermittent with good practices for your mental and emotional health. You are no good to anyone if you burn out, and no employer is going to give you a pat on the back or a job offer because you've worked real hard to get that job. And I don't mean producing value for them. I mean showing up exhausted. Nobody wants that. And the other thing I want to say about a content strategy is I talk to people all the time that say, well, I post on LinkedIn and I don't get any response from it. It doesn't work for me. And I say, you know what? I know some days I feel that way too. I really do. But it's a consistency thing. It's not a magic bullet. None of this is. You have to create your plan and work your plan. But what I'm telling you too is that people are watching on LinkedIn. They're watching when you post cool stuff on Instagram and not only pictures of your dog dressed up in their football outfit. The good content, they're watching that too. But from a content strategy for really working your network for job search, people are watching, even if they're not responding. Most people are just looking. They don't want to engage. They're doing it on the fly, but they're seeing it. So don't let the lack of engagement stop you from sharing your message. People are waiting for you to show up. And I know this is hard to think of when you're like, wait a minute, I'm waiting to find a job. Nobody's waiting for me. Yeah, they are. So how do you do that? It's all part of your pre-work. What is your branding? What is your messaging? This is why I'm saying if you start out your strategy by developing a strategy and getting some of this important stuff out of the way, when you go to do these other things, they become much easier and much less of a drain on you. But people are waiting for you to show up. They want to know what you have to say. There is an audience for everyone, and someone needs to hear what you have to say. And listen, you only need one job. You don't need 10 job offers. You need one. You need the right one. And oftentimes putting yourself out there, developing the content, allowing people to get to know you, that's really the way to do it. People still hire people. No matter how much we do online, no matter how much of ChatGPT, AI, everything going on, people still hire people. Guess what? Recruiters still read resumes, folks. So don't believe that the whole world ends and dies on ATS, applicant tracking software. It's just not true. So holding yourself accountable, tracking your time so that you can reward yourself to say, I put in some really good time today. I'm going to go out and do something else that's going to increase my energy, make me feel good, give back to somebody else, spread some good karma, and who knows what might come out of whatever it is you go to do. So the other thing I would say, like any good plan, is you have to adjust as necessary. Do it for a few weeks, see what happens. Now listen, I have people that get jobs within a week. They apply for one job, they get interviewed, within a week or two, they're hired. It happens. Sure it does. But it's not the usual. And if anybody tells you that's usually how it works, they're lying to you. Just like the lie of you have to treat your job search like a full-time job. So those things happen, but they're more outliers. The truth is job search takes a few weeks, could take a few months. So depending how much effort you put into it. But that's what I want to leave you with today is it's not about the time. It's about the quality of the time. Planning up front, having a structure, getting that calendar together, measuring your progress, spacing things out, decide what works for you. Maybe chunk time, maybe spacing it out by the day. I think if you're the morning person, if you're the afternoon person, do what works for you. But I will tell you, sitting behind a desk for 8 hours a day, hiding behind the computer, just shooting off applications, that is not a way to find a job. And it's certainly not a productive way to find a job. So I hope today you have been inspired to handle your job search differently. Break down this toxic lie that job search is a full-time job in itself. It is not. You deserve better. Your job is waiting for you. Sometimes you just need to tweak what you're doing to find it. But it is waiting for you and people are waiting for you to show up. So go out there, get your strategy together, put yourself out there, and as always, live inspired.